There is a book that has terrified kings, confused scholars, and haunted ordinary people for nearly 2,000 years. Not because it reads like a horror story, but because it reads like something witnessed, like someone actually saw these things and scrambled to put words to what their human mind could barely hold. If you have ever read the book of Revelation and felt something cold move through you, something you could not explain, you are not alone. Millions of people across centuries, across continents, across every culture and language have felt exactly the same thing. And today we are going to look at the creatures described in that book, not the way a Sunday sermon presents them, but the way ancient scholars, historians, archaeologists, and careful readers of the original Greek text have wrestled with them for centuries. If you want to understand why these descriptions still disturb people today, stay with me until the end. Because what the original text actually says is far stranger, far more specific, and far more connected to real history than most people ever realize. Subscribe if you are new here. This channel takes these ancient mysteries seriously. Now let us begin. Most people assume the book of Revelation is pure metaphor, a poetic vision, symbols layered on symbols with no connection to anything real or physical. But the man who wrote it, a Jewish Christian exile named John, was writing from the island of Patmos around 95 AD. He was a real person in a real place under real Roman persecution. And he was writing to real communities, 7 specific churches in Asia Minor, places we can visit today in modern Turkey. He was not writing fantasy. He believed with everything in him that he was recording what he had actually seen. That changes the way we should read these descriptions. Because when a terrified witness tries to describe something that has no existing name in human language, they reach for the closest comparison they know. They say it was like this animal. It had features like that creature. It moved in a way that reminded them of something else. That is exactly what John does. And the results are some of the most haunting descriptions ever committed to writing. The first creature that demands our attention is the 7-headed red dragon. John describes it in chapter 12. A great red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon its heads. Its tail sweeps 1/3 of the stars from the sky. It stands before a woman clothed with the sun, waiting to devour her child the moment he is born. For centuries, most Western readers saw this purely as Satan in symbolic form. But ancient Near Eastern scholars noticed something immediately. This imagery was not invented by John. It was borrowed from a much older world. The Ugaritic texts, ancient writings discovered in Syria in 1929 that predate the Bible by more than 1,000 years, describe a sea monster called Lotan, a twisting serpent with 7 heads. This creature is defeated by the storm god Baal in a cosmic battle that mirrors in eerie detail the war in heaven described in Revelation chapter 12. The Babylonians had a similar creature called Tiamat. The ancient Egyptians knew a serpent chaos monster called Apep. The 7-headed dragon was not a new idea. It was one of the oldest symbols in all of human religion. What John did was take this ancient, universally terrifying image and place it directly in his vision as the enemy of heaven itself. And strangely, the number 7 is never arbitrary in ancient writing. 7 heads may have represented completeness, totality, the fullness of power. A creature with 7 heads was not just strong, it was total opposition without limit. Moving forward in the text, John describes a second creature rising from the sea. Scholars call it the beast from the sea. This is the creature most people recognize, the famous 666, the one whose number no one should receive on their hand or forehead. Revelation chapter 13 describes it this way. It rises from the sea. It has 10 horns, 7 heads, and 10 crowns. It looks like a leopard. Its feet are like a bear. Its mouth is like a lion. Any serious student of the Bible immediately recognizes these parts, because the prophet Daniel, writing over 500 years earlier, had described 4 separate beasts: a lion, a bear, a leopard, and a terrifying unnamed 4th creature. Those 4 beasts, most scholars agree, represented 4 world empires: Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. What John does in Revelation is collapse all four of Daniel's beasts into one single creature, one entity that carries the features of every empire that had ever oppressed God's people. This was not coincidence. This was a message to people living under Rome in the 1st century. They would have understood it immediately. Most early church historians, including Irenaeus, who was a student of Polycarp, who was himself a student of the Apostle John, believed the beast from the sea referred to a specific political system, an empire that demanded worship, that executed those who refused. Rome was already forcing emperor worship by the time Revelation was written. Domitian, the emperor in power around 95 AD, demanded to be addressed as Lord and God. Christians who refused were imprisoned. Some were killed. The number 666, when applied to the ancient practice called gematria, where every letter of the alphabet carries a numerical value, has been calculated by scholars to spell out Neron Caesar in Hebrew, Nero, the emperor responsible for some of the worst persecutions of early Christians in history. Even today, historians still debate whether John intended a singular historical figure or a pattern of power that would repeat across centuries. Both interpretations have serious academic support. The third creature is quieter than the others, and somehow that makes it more unsettling. The beast from the earth rises not from the chaos of the ocean, but from the land. It has 2 horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. It performs signs and wonders. It makes fire fall from the sky. It deceives those who dwell on the earth, and it causes all who refuse to worship the first beast to be killed. Scholars call this creature the false prophet, a title given to it later in Revelation itself. What makes this one disturbing is not its appearance. It looks like something gentle, something familiar, something you might trust. Its power is not military. It is persuasion, deception. It performs miracles to convince people to submit to a system that will ultimately destroy them. Ancient Roman society had a class of priests attached to the imperial cult, men whose job was to conduct religious ceremonies that honored the emperor as divine. Historians have noted that these priests held real social and economic power. If you did not participate in the imperial religion, you could not trade in the marketplace. You could not join the guilds. You could be excluded, impoverished, and eventually reported. The beast from the earth has always been interpreted by serious theologians as the religious face of political oppression, the machinery of belief used to enforce obedience. Perhaps this is why so many readers across history have found it more frightening than the beast with 10 horns. Because armies are visible. Propaganda is invisible. Deception always smiles before it closes the door. Now we move to a different kind of creature entirely. Earlier in Revelation, in chapters 4 and 5, John describes the throne room of God, and surrounding the throne are 4 living creatures unlike anything in ordinary religious imagination. The first is like a lion, the second is like an ox, the third has the face of a man, the fourth is like a flying eagle. Each of them has 6 wings. They are covered in eyes, front and back, inside and outside the wings. They never stop, day or night, saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty." These creatures are ancient. They appear not just in Revelation, but in the prophet Ezekiel's vision, written 6 centuries earlier. Ezekiel called them cherubim, not the soft, round-faced baby angels of Renaissance painting, but these creatures, these terrifying, many-eyed, multi-winged beings surrounding the throne of the living God. The imagery of 4 faces, lion, ox, man, and eagle, appears in ancient Mesopotamian art as the 4 royal symbols of Babylonian astronomy. They corresponded to the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac as understood in the ancient world. Some historians believe these symbols were so universal that John and Ezekiel were drawing from a shared ancient memory of creatures associated with divine presence. What strikes careful readers is the eyes, covered in eyes inside their wings. This is not decorative. In the original Greek, the text is almost obsessive about the eyes. Ancient commentators believed the eyes represented total awareness. Nothing hidden, nothing unseen. Beings that exist in a state of complete wakefulness that no human mind can sustain. Maybe you have felt something similar in your own life. The sense that something is watching, not to frighten you, but because it cannot look away. Of all the creatures in Revelation, none has generated more disturbed reaction than the locusts from the abyss. Chapter 9. The fifth angel blows the trumpet. A star falls from heaven to earth. It is given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. Smoke rises like a great furnace and darkens the sun, and from the smoke come locusts upon the earth. But these are not ordinary locusts. John describes them with the precision of someone who genuinely does not have the words for what he is seeing. They are given power like scorpions. They cannot harm the grass or any plant. Only people who do not have the seal of God, they are not allowed to kill, only to torment for 5 months. The torment is like the sting of a scorpion, and then John describes their appearance. They look like horses prepared for battle. On their heads are something like golden crowns. Their faces are like human faces. Their hair is like women's hair. Their teeth are like lions' teeth. They have breastplates like iron breastplates. The sound of their wings is like the sound of many chariots rushing into battle. They have tails like scorpions with stingers. Their king is the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek, Apollyon, the destroyer. Ancient commentators were deeply troubled by this passage, not because of what the creatures could do, but because of what they could not do. They could not kill. Their entire purpose was sustained torment without resolution. People would seek death during this period, John says, and not find it. This has been interpreted symbolically as a spiritual state, a period of inner torment and blindness, a time when human conscience itself becomes the instrument of suffering. But other scholars have noted that first-century readers living near the eastern borders of the Roman Empire were deeply familiar with Parthian cavalry, warriors who wore scale armor and whose horses seemed almost mechanical in their precision. Some historians believe John was reaching for natural military imagery to describe something his mind had no category for. What remains unexplained is the specificity. John does not say they are demons. He does not say they are angels. He says they came from smoke, from a pit, with a king named the Destroyer. And strangely, this was not the first time ancient writing described destruction rising from beneath the earth. The concept of the abyss, a deep, sealed place beneath creation, appears in Sumerian, Akkadian, and Jewish apocalyptic texts centuries before Revelation was written. The pale horse deserves its own moment of silence. Chapter 6. The fourth seal, a pale horse. The rider's name is Death, and Hades follows close behind him. The original Greek word translated as pale is chloros, the same word used for the color of grass, of living green things. But in this context, it produces an effect ancient readers would have found deeply wrong, a living color on a dead rider, the color of sickness, the color of skin when the body begins to fail. They are given authority over a fourth of the earth, to kill with sword, with famine, with pestilence, and by the wild beasts of the earth. Historians of the ancient world have noted that these 4 causes of death, war, hunger, disease, and wild animals, were the 4 great killers of the ancient Mediterranean. Every person who heard this passage read aloud in a first-century church meeting would have known someone taken by each of these. It was not abstract. It was the list of things they were already afraid of, given a face and a horse and a name. Death on a pale horse has become one of the most lasting images in all of human art and culture. Handel set it to music. Artists from Albrecht Dürer to William Blake painted it. It has entered the language of journalism, literature, and war reporting in ways that no other biblical image has matched, because it does not pretend to be a distant, mythological threat. It names itself, it arrives, and Hades comes with it. The final creature we will examine is the scarlet beast of Revelation, chapter 17. John is now being carried away by one of the 7 angels to a wilderness, and there he sees a woman sitting on a scarlet beast. The beast is full of blasphemous names, 7 heads, 10 horns. The woman is dressed in purple and scarlet. She holds a golden cup full of what John calls the abominations and impurities of her sexual immorality. On her forehead is written a name, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of prostitutes and of earth's abominations. The angel explains the mystery to John. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. Rome was called the city of 7 hills. Every educated reader in the 1st century knew this. Roman poets boasted of it. Latin literature referenced it constantly. This was not a coded mystery to the original audience. It was a clear identification. But then the angel says something that has puzzled scholars ever since. 5 of the kings have fallen. 1 is, the other has not yet come. And the beast that was and is not is itself an 8th and belongs to the 7. Historians who study Roman imperial succession have spent centuries counting emperors and comparing timelines. There is no universal agreement. The numbers shift depending on whether you include certain emperors who died in rapid succession during Rome's year of 4 emperors in 69 AD. What is agreed upon is this. The scarlet beast represents a system that is simultaneously past, present, and future. A pattern of power that keeps returning in new forms. An empire that dies and comes back wearing a different face. Perhaps that is the most disturbing truth hidden in all of these creatures. They are not described as arriving once and vanishing. They return, they recycle, they wear different names in different centuries. We began with a simple question. Were these creatures purely symbolic, or was John describing something real? The honest answer is, perhaps both were always true at the same time. The ancient world did not separate symbol from reality the way modern people do. For John, a symbolic beast that represented a system of oppression was real. Its effects were real. The deaths it caused were real. The fear it produced was real. And perhaps that is why these descriptions have survived 2,000 years, not because they are waiting for a future event on a prophetic calendar, but because every generation looks at the creatures in Revelation and quietly recognizes something it has already seen. The dragon with 7 heads, the beast that demands worship, the false prophet that smiles and deceives, the pale horse that arrives without announcement, the creatures that torment without killing, the empire that dies and rises again. These are not just visions from a cave on a Greek island. They are patterns, old patterns, human patterns. And the reason they still disturb us, the reason you felt something reading their descriptions just now, is not because they belong to the distant past. It is because you already know somewhere quiet inside you that they are never entirely gone.